From Drexel Field, it's a Soccer 7 showdown. The LaSalle Explorers taking on the Dragons of Drexel. Hello again, everybody. John Miller along with John McAdams. Great to have you with us for what should be a very interesting soccer match between these two schools that come into the season with some question marks. And John, LaSalle right now is hoping that they answered some of those questions in the season opener.
Well, I think they did on Saturday. They beat Virginia Commonwealth, John, by a score of 5-1. Now you say, well, why? I'll tell you what makes that more important. Last year, in 19 games, the LaSalle Explorers only scored 16 goals, and they got 5 of them on Saturday. That's a big boost forward.
And the big gun for them was a redshirt freshman, C.C. Calasante.
Here's a young man out of Hockessin, Delaware, went to Salesianum High School, and in his first game as a collegiate, 2 goals and 1 assist.
Calasante and company will be attacking a questionable Drexel back line. They've got some concerns about a young defense and a young goalkeeper. They lost maybe their best player last season.
Well, no question about it. Rune Hegelin was an outstanding goalkeeper for the Drexel Dragons for a number of years, and now the young man, Brian Hurd, there's definitely some pressure on him. He won his first game, but it was a 5-3 match against St. Peter's on Saturday. It's going to be an interesting matchup here this afternoon. I think we're going to see some goals scored.
Two young teams trying to lay the foundation for a strong season. The opening lineups and the kickoff when we come back.
Exciting, dazzling, Walnut Street Theater, the nation's most historic playhouse, offers great nights of entertainment at surprisingly low prices. Jake's Women, a Neil Simon comedy. Me and My Girl, the Tony Award-winning musical. The Vortex, a compelling drama. Cyrano de Bergerac, a romantic classic. Pageant, an outrageous beauty contest. Subscribe for great nights out. Call 574-3550.
Welcome back to Drexel Field. John Miller and John McAdams set to go with the Dragons and the Explorers. Both teams come into this one 1-0, and both teams scored plenty of goals in their openers. LaSalle beating Virginia Commonwealth, which was in the top 20 last year, 5-1 over the weekend. And Drexel beat St. Peter's 5-3. So lots of offense there, and we hope for a repeat of that today, don't we?
Yeah, no question about it. You know what's curious about that, John? We mentioned in the open that LaSalle scored only 16 goals last year in their 19 games. Well, conversely enough, Drexel in their 19 games only scored 30 goals. So those 5 on each side Saturday represents a big, big plug into the offense.
Let's take a look at the starting lineups. First, for the LaSalle Explorers, they will have the Ukraine import, Yuri Fedorchenko, in the nets. Joe Venezial coming off of knee surgery as the sweeper. Pat McCallion, who's very aggressive back there. Harold Ivory and Eric Meisler make up the rest of the defense. The middies, Kevin Gary, Ed Welke, Eric Klein, who is very aggressive going to the net. Matt Comey, C.C. Calasante, and Ken Kime, the offense for Pat Farrell's LaSalle Explorers. For Lou Meal's Drexel Dragons, they will go with the youngster, Brian Herr, in the nets. The sweeper is Brian Caputo. Peter Doran and Robert Pelfel make up the rest of the defense. The forwards, William Naylor and Chris Naylor. Yes, they are brothers, and they will be joined by yet another Naylor, Matt, at midfield, along with Paul Brodikis, Eric Daly, who is from Norway, and Garrett Garner, a sophomore out of Edgewater Park, New York. Lou Meal's team has been ravaged by injuries, John. Their leading scorer from a year ago, Zoran Markovsky, out for the year with a devastating knee injury, had to undergo complete reconstruction. And also their second leading scorer, Guzman Castro, coming off of a herniated disc. We might see him a little bit. He played a little bit over the weekend, but he is not full strength.
No, he's not. Castro, who normally plays about 55 to 60 minutes a game, played only 26 in the game against St. Peter's. This should be an interesting game, and I'll tell you what else, losing Markovsky, here's a guy that gave them 8 goals last year, and you figure 8 out of 30, that's 1/3 of their offense.
Drexel in the home whites with the blue trim. LaSalle in the visiting navy with the gold numerals and trim. We are underway. LaSalle and Drexel. And LaSalle got off to a very slow start in their 5-1 victory over Virginia Commonwealth, as VCU scored in the first 45 seconds of the game. It didn't look very bright. It looked like a repeat of last year, but obviously they righted the ship.
This is a long, long history of soccer between these two teams. Drexel leads the overall series 28-13-1. However, Drexel has won 8 of the last 10 and 4 out of the last 5 here.
Harold Ivory tries to head it back into play, but now the Dragons bring it up over midfield. On the move is Chris Naylor, the transfer from Villanova, who came here after a season with the Wildcats a year ago to join his brothers, Matt and Will. And it says something about Chris Naylor is that he's brand new to the program, and already he's one of the tri-captains of this Dragon squad.
Well, obviously the Naylor family very, very steeped in soccer. And now we have our first corner kick coming up early of the game, and it's going to be for the Drexel Dragons in that far corner over there.
Matt Naylor will bend it across the middle. And the first test of the day for Yuri Fedorchenko, LaSalle's goalkeeper, and he watches it bend up over the crossbar. Fedorchenko came to the U.S. from Kiev, Ukraine 3 years ago, and for the past couple of years he has been going to Manor College, Junior College in Jenkintown, and he taught himself English while he was there, John, by reading newspapers and then taking the newspaper and holding it in front of him while he watched the television news and kind of matching up what it said, and he's learned English that way. Really, obviously he is a self-starter. And Pat Farrell very pleased with him and very pleased with the way he has been accepted by his teammates and become one of the guys.
That corner kick, by the way, just a little too much foot in it by Naylor, ended up on the top of the net. I'm sure they'll adjust that.
Eric Dahl sends it to the far touchline, and it is unable to be corralled by Will Naylor.
Men in charge of today's game, our referee is Daniel Rudloff. Ray Buck, one of the linesmen, and Erwin Antoni is the other.
Matt Comey brings it to the near side to Eric Meisler, sophomore out of Middleton, New Jersey.
If that name, Matt Comey, means something to you or sounds familiar, it is very familiar. The Comey family, and there seem to have been plenty of them, excelled in soccer and basketball at North Catholic High School in Philadelphia, great institution of learning. And also Matt Comey is also a walk-on Speedy Morris's LaSalle men's basketball team.
Comeys have done a lot for North Catholic's reputation, which you sullied several years ago, and they've kind of brought it back. I give them credit. What a great athletic family that is. They've had a couple of soccer players at St. Joe's. Another one of the Comeys is at Widener right now. And yet another Comey right now is at Holy Family. Drive off the left foot of Eric Dahl is well over the crossbar. Drexel's controlled the ball over the first 3.5 minutes of this one, but they have not put anything in on Yuri Fedorchenko just yet.
See here, just a little too much foot again. And that's twice too much foot by Drexel players early that have sent the ball over the crossbar. And by the way, that legacy of the Comeys, the Comey who is now going to Holy Family, that'll be the last in a very, very long line of outstanding athletes in that family. All of whom, again, as I mentioned before, went to North Catholic and went on to do great things in collegiate ball.
That was Calasante a moment ago who touched it and was able to squeeze it ahead, but unable to track it down is Kevin Geary.
Robert Peffel with a nice defensive play there for the Dragons, number 3.
Here's CC Calasante. He's taken down by Will Naylor in the infraction against Naylor.
You'll see Calasante is going to be marked very, very closely all day, as you'll see right here by Naylor. And Naylor come behind him and just take him right down.
Calasante, the redshirt freshman, did not play a year ago. He had a broken foot when he arrived for the preseason. Pat Farrell was very disgruntled by that.
Calasante's not very big, 5'9", 140. Played at a great program at Salesianum High School in Wilmington. He lives in Hockessin, Delaware.
Calasante had broken that foot well before he showed up to LaSalle, and then really didn't have it properly treated, and it still hurt when he showed up. And when the LaSalle trainers looked at it, they said, "It's broken, buddy. You're going to have to sit out the year," it looks like. Sure enough, he redshirted, and you saw Sunday the impact he's had on this team already with a couple of goals.
And obviously someone with foot problems to be involved in a game of soccer where you're on your feet and moving for 90 minutes, your feet better feel good.
Yeah. Matt Naylor, marked closely by Eric Klein, and he lost it over the touchline.
You know what it seems here, John, as we watch the first 5 minutes of this game, that both teams are marking very, very closely, and both teams seem to want to guard against that first goal being scored against them specifically.
They'll try to reverse the field. Peffel sends it a little bit too far. And LaSalle will move on to the attack one of the few times today. Harold Ivory brings it into Ken Kime. Kime playing because another player who's missing. He's basically there for Zoran Markovsky.
Playing on a grass surface here today.
Or pardon me, Markovsky's from Drexel. I'm getting my injured forwards confused.
This is a brand new field for Drexel. Formerly they played up in the top of this complex, and they had some switches last spring in which the field hockey team played on this field, now moves up to the old soccer field, and the soccer field moves down to the old field hockey and softball field. Got all that?
Yeah.
There'll be a quiz a little later on that, so. There you see Fedorchenko getting ready to boot it away, leaning on that goal post. Good foot in that ball. He's kicking into wind, too.
There's a pretty good wind going right now. Naylor climbed up the back of LaSalle's Jovan Ezial.
You know, you talked about Eric Klein earlier. Klein surprised him. He picked up a pair of goals on Saturday down in Virginia Commonwealth.
Peffel gets it to Chris Naylor. Naylor cannot control there, and McCallion takes over for LaSalle. Harold Ivory controls as LaSalle remains on the attack.
I'll tell you, there is some crisp marking going on both sides. Look at the aggressive defense out there by Drexel.
That was Welke and looks like Mike Caputo getting tangled up.
I'll tell you, these two teams really, really are marking each other close. This is a Soccer 7 game, first of each one of the season for both. Soccer 7 in its 16th season, comprising 7 of the schools in Philadelphia, although only 6 of them are active in it right now. Textile, Penn, Drexel, Temple, St. Joe's, and the 2 teams here. Penn not currently competing for the Soccer 7 title.
Penn's decided they'd rather play a more national schedule. Controlled along the far touchline by Naylor, Will Naylor, the youngest of the Naylor boys.
Of the 16 years of Soccer 7, the 15 previous, Textile far and above is dominated with 8 outright titles, 1 shared. Drexel won 1 title outright in 1990, shared 1 other. LaSalle still looking for their first title.
Creative throw-in trying to get some steam on that ball from Doug Wolf. Wolf looking to move into the box now. They converge on him. It's cleared away by LaSalle, but controlled by Dolly. Looking for Matt Naylor, but a little bit too far.
I'd like to see that again. Did you see Peter Dorn? Watch this. This is creative is not the word for it.
Peter Wolf getting a little extra on that ball. And also some style points, serious style points.
That's
looked good, but didn't get a whole lot done, really.
I have not seen that before. I think that's possible for ESPN Plays of the Night, that one.
Calasante on the turf. Couldn't control the long lead pass. Ken Kime hustling for LaSalle. But Drexel controls. Peter Doran was a midfielder on Sunday in Drexel's victory over St. Peter's. Now they move him to the back line.
I'll tell you, that could go into a real bloopers tape along with that baseball game we did last spring at Temple and Drexel and St. Joe's, where the ball was hidden under the leaves. course, one of our opens today could have gone in there too, couldn't it?
I hope not. All the way through to Fedorchenko. No score. We're 10.5 minutes in. LaSalle and Drexel. This one kind of comes off the side of Fedorchenko's foot.
Also kicking into that wind. Keep that in mind. It's blowing right in his face.
Matt Naylor chips it long, but the only one there is sweeper Giovannizial of LaSalle. Tracked down by Eric Dahl from Oslo, Norway.
Give you an idea how hard that wind is blowing. Looking at the American flag up at the far end of the field, it's literally wrapped around the post and blowing hard down this end. Drexel continues to try to get the ball ahead to Doug Wolf, but Wolf is marked so well he can't get out of those deep corners.
Nobody home on the right wing for Drexel. LaSalle will try and mount something. They haven't had the ball in the offensive end very much here over the first 11.5 minutes of this match. And again, Wolf didn't move quickly enough down the wing. He's on that ball, but couldn't control it. It's over the touchline. Wolf transferred from Textile when Lou Meal left Textile to become the head coach at Drexel. Wolf and Matt Naylor transferring from Textile. So two of the Naylor boys have transferred into Drexel. Will Naylor, the younger of the three, has been here from the beginning of his career. He's just a sophomore.
Young man out of Strathaven High School out in Delaware County, which has an excellent sports program there and everything.
Yeah, they're up there in football, basketball every year. Not to mention soccer. Again, Drexel takes over possession, and they have had a real territorial advantage here in the beginning, John, but they haven't mustered a whole lot of offense in towards Fedorchenko.
Well, Brian Herr, the young goalkeeper for the freshman goalkeeper for the Dragons, has had no work thus far. Just kind of moving around down there trying to stay loose. And, you know, we're now almost 15 minutes into the game, and I think idealistically you'd like to see your keeper just touch the ball once in a while.
Looking long for Kime. It'll go in on her, and he touches it.
We call it all here, don't we? I noticed one thing. They're not really enforcing this rule where the keepers have to get rid of the ball in 5 seconds. There's been a lot longer period than that on both ends today.
Calasante chips it for Kime, but Peffel is there for Drexel. Kime goes down, but play goes on. Matt Naylor squares it over to Peffel. Peffel brings it forward for Drexel, looking ahead to Chris Naylor.
Peffel, a freshman, solidly built, 5'8", 155 pounds. Went to LaSalle High School, and again, we keep emphasizing in these telecasts, John, but I think it bears repeating. The Catholic League has done so much for soccer here in the Philadelphia area with some great kids coming into the programs.
Wilkie looking for Calasante, but he was ridden off the play by Garrett Garner.
Wilkie got a nice head of steam going down there, but a good defensive play, and Wilkie will have the throw in from the far side.
LaSalle on offense for one of the few times here in the first 15 minutes of this match. Long throw in towards the box. Ivory couldn't get ahead on it, and Caputo kind of whiffed on it as well. Klein was fouled. And so a dangerous situation here for LaSalle, right at the top of the box.
Colasante, who was the MCC Performer of the Week, will do the honors. There's the wall set up. Good look at it there from behind the goal.
That's what Brian Herr is looking at right now. Eric Klein and Calasante are both lined up. One of them will take the kick. Calasante, and Herr was there on the near post to make the save. A good play by the youngster to cut off the angle. Calasante had that corner picked.
And you'll see here where, as it's coming from behind the net here, that very dangerous, and quickly Herr coming over there to pick that one off. We mentioned he had no action down there. Now they've been in front of him now for the last 2 minutes.
Meisler a little bit behind Calasante. That slowed up his steam. Taken away by the Nailers. of Drexel. Ahead for Chris Naylor, but Joe Venezial there to square it off to Pat McCallion.
Again, the marking remains tenacious here on both sides. Nobody wanting to give an inch.
Klein right up the middle. Tries to get it to Comey, but Peffel sweeps it away.
Well, so Matt Naylor got a body in there on Klein to help slow down his momentum.
LaSalle starting to look a lot more comfortable out on the field, John.
That they are.
Colasanti took it away from Naylor. Now here comes Kevin Gary. Trying to squirt it through to Keim, and Herr came out aggressively to make the play.
Isn't it amazing as you watch this game? I think this is a perfect example of it, John, where the first 7 or 8 minutes were basically played down the end to our right in front of the LaSalle goal. LaSalle couldn't generate any offense. Now they get the ball up at the other end, and that word you mentioned, comfortable, and all of a sudden now, they're creating the opportunities. So give these youngsters from Drexel some credit. School doesn't start here for another 10 days, and these guys have been working out for 2 weeks and have already played 2 games, so you really got to be dedicated to do this.
Oh, by the time school starts, they'll be ready for a mid-semester break. Klein has it headed away from him by Dahl.
Nice job defensively there by McCallion.
Played to the open wing. After it is Eric Meisler of LaSalle, and he watches it over the end line and takes it back to Fedorchenko.
Fedorchenko, 6'1", 206. Big target in there. Again, he's kicking into a stiff wind, but still got it to midfield.
Chipped into the Drexel bench. Throw in for the Dragons.
Both benches on the far side of the field, as is the scorer's table here. Here's a look at the LaSalle bench.
Klein marked by his fellow number 8. Will Naylor gets it ahead, but nobody's there for LaSalle. Peffel. All of a sudden, Colasanti closed on him pretty quickly.
Sure did.
Colasanti hustles up on that front line. In fact, that's what Pat Farrell, the LaSalle coach, says is Colasante's greatest attribute, is that even though he's the best, most skilled player on their team, he's also the hardest worker.
Well, I'll tell you what happened there, and Colasanti almost made something happen. Drexel was throwing the ball back and forth, not really, I think, geared into what they should have been doing. They got a little lax, and boy, Colasanti almost took that ball and came in for a walk on the goalkeeper.
Type of hard-working player that if you give him an inch, he will take it. Bounces all the way in on Fedorchenko. That's Peter Doran that throw in. In fact, we called him Wolf before. Mistook the 15 for a 16. That's Peter Doran looking to make Sports Center.
I'll tell you, that is a great throw in. We got to see that again somewhere. That's great. I love that. Could you do that?
Yeah,
I thought you could.
I could, but I won't. McCallion went down and gave it away to Chris Naylor. An opportunity for Drexel. Cross to the middle looking for Will Naylor, but a little bit too tall for him. Meisler, a youngster, makes a smart play and boots it over the touchline for the throw-in.
I'll tell you who made a smarter play was Matt. Why don't we see that throw in again?
This was a moment ago. Peter Doran trying to impress even the Russian judge.
Give Matt Comey some credit on breaking up that last play. He was right there in front of the goal. There it is again.
In front, it's loose. Shot, score! Give it to Will Naylor, number 8. And for Naylor, that is his first goal of the season. And it was set up on the remarkable throw-in from Peter Doran.
I'll tell you, that is unbelievable. That is really unbelievable that he comes off throwing that ball in like that, and the momentum that he gets behind that ball, and Drexel has scored here and goes in front 1-0, and that is our first goal of the year here on Wade Cablevision as well. Outstanding play, and Drexel's in front 1-0.
Doran created the play with the long throw-in, and I didn't catch the number of the player who touched it over to Naylor, but LaSalle was really scrambling in the box, and it was wide open for Naylor, who tucked it home. 1-0. Drexel jumps on top. Goal comes in the 19th minute.
Now you wonder, this changes strategy a little bit now. LaSalle, they know they scored 5 goals the other day now, but now you're behind, you're away from home. Now do you open up the game a little bit more? I think you have to.
Well, they've gotten themselves some good opportunities. They've got Calasante, who is obviously very explosive. That ball one hops in on her from Klein. I don't think you've got to abandon defense completely just yet. In fact, I don't think Pat Farrell wants to do that at all, because his defense is not very experienced, even with Venezial back on as the sweeper. Last year, they gave up 3.5 goals a game. If they start taking unnecessary chances, they can fall into that same trap again.
True enough, too. Another great play there by Robert Peffel. Young freshman has come up big on a couple of plays today.
The assist on Naylor's goal goes to Wolf. So Doran with the throw-in goes to Wolf. And he one-touched it over to William Naylor, who blasted it home at 19:29 of this game.
Now we should congratulate St. Joseph's. They won the Hawk Classic by shutting out Ryder 3-0, being the only team in that tournament to garner a victory. But Sean Vliet, the goaltender, now has gone 210 minutes, allowing no goals this year. What a great start for Tom Turner, who is here today, by the way, observing this game.
Wow. It's not a bad way to start the season for your defense. That is definitely the strength of the Hawks.
Oh, no question.
And Textile. That was an outstanding game we saw the other day between the two, even though it ended in a scoreless tie. There were some exciting moments. Here's an exciting moment for Brian Herr. But the youngster very aggressive in his box, and that's very important, sometimes difficult for a freshman goalkeeper to do. Be so aggressive going after those loose balls in the box.
Well, you know what else, John, here? You want to be aggressive all the time, but now you know you've got a little room for a mistake because your side has scored a goal. So I think that really helps the young man. Just talking about St. Joe's again for a minute, you know, they got a goal from a freshman. Mark Cole came off the bench. We did not see him play the other day against Ryder, and also John Sharp and John Manella scoring goals. So the Hawks off to a real good start.
Chip behind Paul Bradikis, who had the first 2 goals of the season for Drexel against St. Peter's. Kind of kept them in the game in the early going on Sunday. He's been rather quiet so far here today.
The buzz behind us here in the stands. The fans are hoping the ball will go out of bounds on Doran's side so he can get another throw in like that again. Boy, that is outstanding.
Not only fun to watch, but it leads to a goal. This is Doran. Lumiel's team's always very patient. If Drexel doesn't find the path it wants to take, it'll retreat and start over. Chris Naylor with a good sliding tackle, takes it over the touchline.
A couple nice plays at midfield by Garrett Garner for Drexel, who's helped break up a couple potential LaSalle sorties. Number 13, Garner, young man out of Edgewood Park, New Jersey, went to the Hun School for his pre-college
Played ahead for Chris Naylor. If he can catch up to it, he's alone on Fedorchenko from a tough angle. Naylor in front, all alone, blocked by Fedorchenko. A fantastic save for the youngster from Ukraine. Back to Doran. Doran crossing towards the far post. The header up over the crossbar and against the fence behind the goal.
Fedorchenko made an outstanding save there as he stayed right with Naylor. Now watch Naylor coming to the near post right here, number 10. He gets close to shot. Now watch Fedorchenko stay right with him, blocks it up here in the shoulder area.
Nifty play by Naylor to deke inside of the defender. Fedorchenko did not back down, and Naylor really didn't have a great angle at all. He didn't have much to shoot at. Just try and blast it through him.
Credit Fedorchenko for that, for cutting down the corner angle.
That great save keeps it 1-0 with 21:40 to go in the first half. And that didn't end the threat for the Dragons.
And there's the ball booted over the top of the crossbar. And that's the third one that Drexel may have gotten a bit too much foot in.
LaSalle had seemed to be finding a comfort zone. They were generating some opportunities, but ever since Drexel scored, they've been a little bit stagnant. As Colasanti hits the turf, that might be a reason they're stagnant. Colasanti has been covered like a blanket.
Naylor warned by the official, perhaps some rough play there, but no card.
Colasanti with the header, Klein with the header, but right to her.
Talk about being in the right spot at the right time. The ball headed right into the hands of her. He didn't have to move an inch.
Her's smooth back there. He didn't seem too concerned with that at all, did he?
No, not at all.
Yeah, I know it's coming to me. He was a major reason Great Valley did so well last season when he was the goaltender at Great Valley High. In fact, they were number 14 in the country by the end of the season. And you've got to have a good goalkeeper to be that good a squad.
No question about it. Now, they've got two freshman goalkeepers. There's another young man, Taylor Kapp, who comes out of Connecticut, who they have some hopes for. But Lou Meal's just going to stay with the guy who mainly is playing good, and you can't take away with what Brian Herr's done thus far. See, another problem, John, Rune Heggelin played every minute last year. Every minute. And Hannon Fishman, the backup, never got to play. Here we go again. Watch this.
The somersault thriller throw-in. All the way in front, headed away by LaSalle. He got that all the way to the front of the box. That's as good as a corner kick. But Drexel didn't have anybody at the right spot. Colasanti tried to get it towards Keim in front, but it was muffled, and Peffel takes it for Drexel.
I'm going to throw a theory out at you. What do you think? First day of practice, Lou Meal's here. Doran takes a throw in, and he does that. I mean, what do you think Lou Meal says?
Lou Meal said, "You're taking my throw-ins." A little bit too far for Keim to catch up to off the foot of Colasanti.
Off my hands, I got that one.
You're very quick.
Aren't I?
Not quite a Brian Herr, but very quick.
I'm ready to go in, Dad. Put me in.
Second half, son.
That's
19:10 to go in the half. Drexel up 1-0 on a goal by William Naylor. Colasanti. The header from Doran. And but for a 4-minute stretch, Drexel has really controlled this one. Had some outstanding opportunities, and they cashed in on one of them. Colasanti tripped over the ball, but Wolf does him a favor and knocks the ball over the touchline.
Colasanti double team down along this near side. You will note that's one good stop I've made in each game now. Just put that down that we've done. Just want to keep the record straight.
A long throw in. Loose in front, headed away by Naylor, Matt Naylor. Dahl was after it. And now Chris Naylor has it. He looks ahead for Eric Dahl. A little bit too far ahead.
Dahl, young man out of Oslo, Norway, was breaking down that left side, but that ball well by him and goes out of the touch line. And LaSalle will boot it away. LaSalle's got to get a little offense going here now. As you mentioned, John, they had a real concentrated offense going for about 3 or 4 minutes, and then it sort of just fleeted away.
They've had trouble in transition moving the ball up from defense to offense. And I guess you blame the midfielders for that right now. You want the cohesion between the defense and the offense, and that's the middies' job. So far, it really has not been there.
17.5 to go here in the first half.
Gary climbing up the back of Matt Naylor.
And he was just kind of suspended there for a second or two.
Thought we were doing chicken fights there for a moment.
Dangerous angle here. Now, here's where Fedorchenko is going to have to be real loose in that goal.
Naylor sends it towards the middle. Fedorchenko out, and Ivory headed it. Fedorchenko a little bit tentative that time, John, and could have gotten caught up in the no man's land.
Boy, was he ever. And I'll tell you, give a nice play there to Harold Ivory. He was fortunate there were no Drexel players in the area.
Pat Farrell's a big Harold Ivory fan. Says he may not be the niftiest player in the world, but he's a big, strong kid, very athletic, and he can mark the other team's best goal scorer and usually does an outstanding job of shutting them down.
Well, as I said, that was a real dangerous angle that ball came in for, and it almost proved to be true.
Ball squirts ahead to Kevin Gary. Gary looking for some help. He's got Kime if he can drop it back. Gets it through, but Peffel is there. Here comes Dahl for Drexel. Dangerous chance that time for the Explorers, but they could not cash in as the help did not come quickly enough for Gary. Here's Dahl at the other end, in on Fedorchenko, who has to go to his right to make the diving stop.
I'll tell you, that was a difficult angle too, and Fedorchenko picks up with a save. Credit that down at the other end to Robert Peffel, who was able to knock down the LaSalle scoring chance and send the ball ahead. That's 3 great opportunities defensively for Peffel today.
That was a tremendous fast break, and Dahl took it almost all the way in himself.
John, you look at this team as we take a look at that save on the angle there by Fedorchenko. This team now is beginning a little bit to look like the textile teams that Lou Meal had in those glory days over there on Schoolhouse Lane. What a great legacy of coaches over there. The great and late great Walt Chisowicz, and now Lou Meal. Of course, Jesse Myers over there trying to do the same thing now. What a great program.
Jesse's got some players too, doesn't he?
I'm telling you. Those of you who may be raising your eyebrows and saying the late Walt Chisowicz, if you did not see our telecast on Sunday, Walter unfortunately passed away a week ago Friday playing tennis down at Wake Forest, and he's going to be well missed by the soccer community in Philadelphia and, John, across the United States.
Just 57 years old. Really stunning loss. Chris Naylor, dogged by Colasante, will bring it to Doran on the near side. William Naylor, the goal scorer, gives it up to Wolf. Lou Meal's got to be very happy with the way his team has played here for the first 31 minutes of this match. They have had a large territorial advantage, and they've got a 1-0 lead. Thanks to a spectacular goal on a flipping throw-in from Peter Doran. Unbelievable. And it led directly to the first goal of this contest. LaSalle trying to mount some offense.
I mentioned before, the fans in the back are clamoring for the ball to go out of bounds and for Doran to bring it in, and they're starting it again because he has not thrown the ball in that way with that flipping throw in for about 7 or 8 minutes now.
Throw in on the far touchline for Harold Ivory of the Explorers.
He's from Penwood High School in Lansdowne, Pennsylvania. High school made famous by Rap Curry. Leroy Burrell.
Not a bad athletic program there.
Nope.
Nice pass ahead to Eric Meisler. Squares it off to Gary in the middle of the field. Gary trying to move to his right foot, but Garrett Garner took it away from him. Garner's been battling a bit of an injury, but he is back healthy. Drexel's really had some trouble with injuries here in the early portion of the season. We talked about Markovsky out and Guzman Castro.
Speaking of Guzman Castro, the first substitution of the game. Guzman Castro into the game now for the Drexel University Dragons. And we're also getting a replacement for LaSalle. Into the game now is Andrew Barrett, senior out of Poughkeepsie, New York, wearing number 3.
A corner kick from LaSalle in front. McCallion got his head on it, but it's up over the crossbar.
Unofficially, each team with 1 corner.
Another good opportunity for LaSalle on this corner kick. Floated right towards the middle.
You can see, especially the camera we have behind the goal, how dangerous those balls are coming out of the corner. They just kind of float up there, and the keeper has to be awfully, awfully agile because just one head in front of it can drill it by him.
This is Barrett, who just checked in. Ahead for Colasanti. He gives it up for Eric Meisler. Klein, who's just a sophomore, and they expect him to form the nucleus of this offense along with Colasanti over the coming years.
Drexel really very strong in the middle defensively, not letting the Explorers penetrate in that box.
Ahead for Castro, but he got tied up with McCallion. Now Chris Naylor trying to turn on Venezial. Meisler comes in to tackle the ball away from him. Joey Venezial brings it back. Last time he played Drexel was 2 years ago before the knee injury. He was a forward in that game. He goes down hard. And he scored 2 goals in that game, John, when he was a forward, but they like him better as their sweeper because he controls the defense so well.
Matt Naylor may get a card there. He got a handful of jersey and pulled down Venezial. Let's see.
Sure enough.
Yep.
Dan Rudloff, our referee, gives out his first yellow card with 10:50 to go in the half, and Drexel ahead 1-0 on a goal by Matt's brother, Will.
Naylor just got a big piece of a jersey there and pulled him down, and now LaSalle gets an opportunity here, and as does Drexel, to sort of catch the wind as the clock stops when the official hands out a card.
By the way, the goal by Naylor was not only his first of the season, it was the first of his career.
Wow.
Loose in the box, Colasanti controls. Looking to cross towards the middle, muffled by Caputo. Caputo, the Soccer 7 co-rookie of the year a year ago, shows why, and then blasts it off of our camera, but it went over the end line, so it'll be a corner kick.
See,
Watch out, John Tucker.
John, if you notice in that corner, LaSalle's on the offense. There were 3 Drexel players around them. 3 were covering them.
No chances with Colasanti, not over the end line. It'll be a long throw-in from Barrett. Towards the middle, Herr came out, but he wasn't able to get a hand on it. Loose in the middle, Colasanti taken down by Berdicas. Shot towards the middle was muffled, and a good play by the Dragon defense to close up the holes. Lou Meal had concerns about his defense coming in. They looked pretty good there.
They closed things up very well. And they had to be careful, too, because Brian Herr, the keeper, when he came out, stumbled and fell down and was out of the play there for a second or a second and a half.
When Berdicas may have gotten away with one. The header bounces in on Herr off of Matt Comey.
Herr seems just a little disturbed in there.
Another good head opportunity here for LaSalle. Comey didn't get a whole lot on it.
I think what Herr may have been a little disturbed by was that Comey was wide open.
Last 10 minutes of the first half, 1-0 Dragons. Andy Barrett trying to break out for the Explorers. Gives it up to Pat McCallion, and they swing it to the far side, Harold Ivory.
Nice tackle back at the other end by Matt Naylor on the ball. Little humor, if you will, John, when that ball was thrown in from out of bounds down on our side here just a moment ago. Peter Doran was out there too, and the fans were saying, give it to 15, give it to 15. Oh, there's Venezial down again.
Venezial. Pat Farrell's got to be a little concerned every time Venezial goes down like that. I mean, this guy's coming off of a knee injury, and you don't want his legs getting tangled up with other people's. It's a reason to wince.
I'll tell you, Naylor's banged him to the turf hard the last 2 times down the field. Or the grass in this case.
Comey did not get a head on it. Wolf got more of it than he did. Colasanti for the Explorers will cross it towards the middle. Low shot. Barrett was there, but it was a little bit too much into his breadbasket for him to handle. A 6-yarder coming up for Herr of the Dragons.
Okay, one of the neat things here today, with our cameras down on the field and the microphones down there, you can hear the grunts and the groans and the boot of the leather shoe onto the ball. And I think that's kind of a real neat aspect. So you're getting kind of a little extra treat here today on Wade Cablevision.
bring you right onto the field.
That's exactly right.
Barrett did not do a very good job of settling that ball. Dahl plays it to the far side to Guzman Castro. He's got outstanding speed. He's at a tough angle now. He'll look to cross towards the middle. Knocked down by Matt Comey. It's over the touchline, and it'll be a throw-in. This is an ideal spot for Peter Doran, but he's on the near side, and it'll be Caputo who takes it.
Guzman Castro with a herniated disc in his back, and that's an injury that probably rest is the best thing for John.
Their second leading goal scorer a year ago, even though he played very few minutes, loose in front. Fedorchenko was very confused on that play. He just watched the ball sail on by him. That was very dangerous.
Veneziali got behind him to kick that ball away.
Calasante tried to clear it, but he put it right in the middle of the field. Caputo chips it into the box, looking for Castro, a little bit wide of him. Ivory heads it away and then clears it.
Ivory has a nose for the ball, doesn't he?
Very solid defender. But on those crosses from the wings, whether it be they throw-ins or be they off the foot, LaSalle's looked fairly disorganized a couple of times. And I guess if you're going to place blame for that, you place blame on the goalkeeper. It's his job to quarterback and take charge of the box. He's a youngster, though, and he's got a lot of talent. On other occasions, he's looked very good.
LaSalle, a very young team, just 3 seniors on their squad.
Both these teams are young. Drexel's got 11 players on his 23-man roster who are freshmen.
Of those 3 seniors, just 2 of them on the field right now, so very, very young for the Explorers.
Castro, a senior out of Miami. Chips it through for Berdikis, and a good save that time. Fedorchenko got a paw on it and batted it up over the crossbar.
Great setup there by Castro. You'll see Castro here just kind of inch that ball ahead real easy right there. Well,
Fedorchenko is very quick, I'll tell you that. I just said he wasn't doing a great job maybe quarterbacking in the box, but he is quick.
I'll tell you, that was an outstanding setup there by Castro. Just tap that ahead just to give the scoring opportunity. Now a corner kick for the Dragons. They're second unofficially.
4:40 to go in the half. 1-0 Dragons. Headed away by Comey. Barrett could not advance it.
Not a
Played to the far side, and Matt Naylor after it, trying to track it down in the corner.
Not a very good boot out of that corner either. Not much on that. The 2 corner kicks that Drexel's had today, one was too strong. It hit the top of the crossbar. The other one was too short, or not enough on it. But it's early in the year yet. Drexel, of course, plays in the North Atlantic Conference, and they have an automatic bid into the NCAA, as does the MCC, of which LaSalle is a member.
Calasante. He is just go-go the whole time, isn't he?
Calasante and Robert Peffel, 2 guys who have been very, very instrumental in this game. Peffel for the Dragons, Calasante for LaSalle, involved in that last play.
Dahl on the far touchline towards Castro at the top of the box. Castro trying to turn and get something off with the left foot, but Harold Ivory was there. Dahl gets it towards the middle, and it goes all the way through the goal mouth before Kevin Gary comes away with it for LaSalle. Again, some miscommunication that time between Gary and Fedorchenko, and they got lucky. This ball will come right through the goal mouth.
Just kind of sat there for a second, too,
doink,
didn't
doink,
it?
doink, doink.
Tell you, the midfielders for Drexel doing a good job. Here we go.
A somersaulting thriller throw-in from Peter Doran. Right to Fedorchenko. They're playing catch.
I don't know if you saw that or not on the screen. I turned my head a second, but Andrew Barrett came up to contest that throw in, but by putting a hand up in the air at the last moment. So now Doran may want to use that in the back of his mind to maybe get a little more loft on that ball. Barrett came very close to getting that ball.
Explorers trying anything to stop that weapon.
I thought before I was about to say the midfielder's doing a good job for Drexel, breaking up LaSalle opportunities before the ball is advanced up the field.
And that's where Drexel's advantage has been at the midfield. LaSalle's had a hard time going from defense to offense. Drexel's done a good job of preventing them from going from defense to offense. So a little bit of credit to the Dragons and maybe a little bit of blame for the LaSalle Middies.
Down to 1:50 to go here till halftime. Drexel leading at 1-0. Will Naylor's goal at the 19-minute mark. Set up by an acrobatic throw-in.
Andy Barrett was very strong on the throw-ins. Will send this one towards the box and try and test Ryan Herb. Outstanding throw-in, headed away by Matt Naylor. Will come all the way over the touchline and a throw-in for Barrett again. Chris Naylor gets it ahead for Doug Wolf. He loses it to Gary. Gary into the corner after it. Keeps it from going over the end line, tries to cross to the middle, and this will be a corner kick for the Dragons with 50 seconds to go in the half.
Big chance here for LaSalle.
Gary will take it.
There you see him setting it up in the corner. Big kick here.
Towards the middle, headed out of harm's way by Peter Doran. 30 seconds to go in the half.
Now, a LaSalle player near that head out of there by Doran. That's where they've got to make some adjustments, John.
Comey for Colasanti. Colasanti had some room, but Garner was there quickly to close off any space he had. And then Ivory with a wild shot that'll result in a Drexel 6-yarder, but Herr may not even bother to take this one as we've got just 5 seconds to go in the half. And that'll do it for the first 45 minutes of play, and the Dragons lead after the first half, John, 1-0 on a goal by Will Naylor, and all the credit really goes to Peter Doran on a tremendous, spectacular throw-in.
I'll tell you, I've never seen anything like that. We've seen him do it 4 times now, where he just kind of does the somersault and throws the ball in. The ball came into Wolf, who got it to Naylor, who threw it into the net at the 19-minute mark, and that's where we are right now. Drexel 1 and LaSalle 0. As far as the second half's concerned, LaSalle's got to be more aggressive.
Don't move. Second half is coming up.
It's tough growing up, and we need our parents more than they realize. You don't want to be told what to do, but you do want to know what they think. Parents need to know something, too. No one's going to come home and say, "Hey, Mom, do you think I should drink or smoke?" So parents have to be the ones who speak up first. A lot of us will listen, even if we don't like to admit it.
Everybody needs help talking to their kids sometimes. Call for your free booklet on how parents can talk to their teenagers about smoking and other issues. The Family Course Consortium believes smoking should not be a part of growing up.
Welcome back to Drexel Field, where the Dragons have a 1-0 lead at halftime over the LaSalle Explorers in this Soccer 7 season opener for these two schools. And John, Drexel really dominated the first half.
That they did, territorially. But actually, if you look at the statistics, John, it doesn't tell that tale. But I think of the 45 minutes played in the first half, probably 38 to 39 of them were played in front of the LaSalle goaltender's explorer, Yuri Fedorchenko. Now here are the stats in the first half. Each keeper had 3 saves. LaSalle had 8 shots. Drexel had 6, which is kind of misleading if you actually, 2 corner kicks for Drexel, 3 for LaSalle. So the statistics don't show it, but I think from the raw geographic, what we watched, definitely it was a Drexel advantage all the way. But to LaSalle's advantage, Drexel's only in front 1-0 with 45 minutes to go.
And they've got CC Colasanti, and if you've got him, you've got a chance. You've got a puncher's chance. because he is explosive. We've seen that already, and the Dragons have resorted to double and even triple teaming him at times.
That they have. Drexel, I noticed, a little late coming out. We're down to 35 seconds on the clock, and they're just making their way out of the locker room now. LaSalle is already on the field, as you see there, kind of waiting for their opponents. I don't know whether this is a tactic by Drexel or not, but this could be a very, very interesting second half. Two young teams here trying to find their niche, if you will.
Only goal of the first half came from Will Naylor, the sophomore for Drexel, and it was set up by this tremendous throw-in from Peter Doran. Then it went to the foot of Doug Wolf, and he sent it right to Will Naylor, and LaSalle was all discombobulated.
I'll tell you, that throw-in, that somersaulting throw-in by the young man Peter Doran from Holy Ghost Prep out of Churchville, Pennsylvania. I've never seen anything like that. He's done it 4 times today. The buzz here at halftime among the fans was, geez, I hope the ball goes out of bounds a lot on his side.
Two teams switch sides here for the second half. LaSalle and the Navy moving from left to right for the second 45 minutes, and Drexel and the home whites will go from right to left. Andy Barrett out up front with Cecidio Colasante to start the second half for Pat Farrell's Explorers.
LaSalle will kick off to start the second half. You see Barrett there. Looks like he may take the kick. Wind kicking up again here. It was calm for halftime. Now the halftime's over, it starts up again.
And that could be an advantage for LaSalle. Drexel had the wind at its back in the entire first half, and we could be underestimating that a little bit when we talk about all the scoring opportunities that Drexel had as compared to LaSalle.
Now we're waiting for Will Naylor, and here he comes.
Naylor scored the goal, so he's the star now. He's allowed to make the fashionably late entrance.
Putting on his pads there, as you see, which are very, very thin and very, very, very little equipment worn by soccer players. And you have to marvel, John, that there are as few injuries as there are because of the great physical contact in this game. All right, LaSalle ready to kick off.
LaSalle looked a little bit disorganized defensively at times in the first half. We'll see if they can change that up a little bit, tighten things up there. Yuri Fedorchenko maybe didn't keep things organized back there, didn't quarterback his defenders as well as he should have, but he did make some remarkable saves. He is a big guy, and for a guy as big as he is at 6'1", 206, he is also very, very quick.
John, as I survey the field here, maybe a key point, Guzman Castro is starting the second half for the Drexel Dragons.
He made some things happen in the last 10-15 minutes for Lou
Certainly
Meal's
did.
squad. Also, it allows them to drop Chris Naylor back from the forward line to the defenders end, and he is much more comfortable there, and they're a more solid defensive team there with him there. They had to move him up to start the game because freshman Phil Karn got a red card in the last game and consequently is not playing here today.
Question now remains, Castro, who has the herniated disc in his back, how long can they leave him in the game in the second half? As I say, he played 26 minutes the other day against St. Peter's, played, I'd say, what, 12, 15 in the first half. So you wonder how long they'll leave him in here.
Probably as long as he can go.
Well, that's probably about right.
Andy Barrett moving towards the middle of the field, but he's knocked off the ball. Wilkie tried to get it towards Barrett, but again, Drexel tightening things up defensively. Here comes Guzman Castro. He's got tremendous speed, but he's cut off by Pat McCallion.
See, with that tremendous speed, what Drexel may be trying to do is to get a goal right off the bat here at the top of the second half, and that could really change this game around. Force LaSalle really to try and push it up, and when you keep pushing and pushing and pushing, you're bound to make mistakes defensively.
Chris Naylor, senior tri-captain. Bradikas whiffed on the header. Eric Dahl squares it to the middle to Matt Naylor. Younger brother of Chris, and that's the middle one. The youngest is Will Naylor, who scored today's only goal.
A troika of Nailers.
Castro, score! Guzman Castro left alone in the box, and there was nothing Fedorchenko could do about that one. For Castro, it is his second goal of the season, and you can see how this kid makes things happen for Lou Meal's squad.
Well, I'll tell you, my question just a minute or two ago was certainly answered. You know, he's in there to start off the second half, and now Drexel picks up the second goal in front 2-0. And now I think this will change the whole complexion of the game as far as LaSalle is concerned. They have to come out of a shell, and they really have to start throwing some offense at the Drexel keeper, Brian Herr.
Comes just 2:19 into the second half, and the Dragons now with a 2-0 lead. And we thought they were in command in the first half, and now they are on the scoreboard with a 2-goal edge. Giovannizial, the sweeper, you can bet that he'll be pinching in a little bit more. LaSalle needs to generate something.
Oh, absolutely. Now, this whole game now by Castro's goal here has just changed everything around. And LaSalle now is just really going to have to throw all caution to the wind, and they're going to have to just come up, and they're just going to have to attack, attack, attack. And again, as I said before, when you do that, eventually, unless you're very, very careful, you can, by throwing caution to the wind, you make some mistakes. Now we're going to get a substitution for the Dragons on the far side, as heading out now is Will Naylor, and coming into the game,
that's Mike Caputo, who played most of the first half and is now back on that back line. And again, this is a move for defense. Chris Naylor, who was on the back line, will move up to the forwards position. And again, this gives him a better defensive player up front. So Lou Meal is seen enough offense. He wants defense for the rest of the afternoon.
and Caputo got right into it. He took that goal kick. Some hands there, but they got away with it.
Time 47-19. Castro, and Doug Wolf picks up his second assist of the day. He's been in the middle of a lot of things for the Dragons. Well, Castro makes things happen out there, doesn't he, though?
Did he ever? And as I said, that really answered my question why he was in there at the start of the second half.
Does a great job of finding the open space on the field. And he does it often enough that his teammates, if they don't catch him one time, don't have to feel guilty about it because he's going to get open in another couple of minutes.
And again, keep in mind that he's running around there with a herniated disc in his back, and I guess he's, as you pointed out, I guess he's going to go as long as he can. But now with a 2-0 lead, this really changes the whole situation here for Drexel, what they can do and what LaSalle must do. I'll tell you something else, Drexel in no hurry to get the ball moving either.
No, no. As far as the Dragons are concerned, their work at this end of the field is pretty much done for the day.
At this point.
Castro's not taking that attitude at all. He's looking for some more offense.
And in reality, too, if you look back to that first half, John, I mean, Drexel's strong point was their defense, as we see dangerous play there.
Doran went down, the infraction against the Explorers.
But Drexel was very, very strong defensively in the box early on. LaSalle had that 3 or 4 minute push in the first half in which really the defense came to the forefront and kept the ball pretty much away from goalkeeper Brian Herr.
Yeah, Brian Herr's been a fairly lonely guy today. Did face 6 shots in the first half. Not nearly the scoring opportunities that the Dragons had. Fedorchenko comes out aggressively that time and tries to fast break it out to Andy Barrett. Garrett Garner cut him off.
He had to be aggressive there because Peter Doran was blowing right by the goalkeeper there.
Calasante's on the turf, you saw him there. They have been very physical with the 5'9", 140-pound Cicidio Calasante.
Now you see Fedorchenko now very anxious to move that ball very quickly once he gets his hands on it, because he looks up at the clock, sees 38 minutes left and his team in the hole by 2. So LaSalle's got to get some things going here and got to get it going now.
Slipping down was Wolke, and now a break for the Dragons. Guzman looking for Matt Naylor, but was a little bit too tall for him, and Harold Ivory tracks it down for the Dragons.
Paul Bradikas with a good play there. Again, strong play by the midfield today by the Drexel Dragons. This, I think, John, has been a big part of this game. They've broken everything up that LaSalle is trying to get going.
Lou Meal likes a 3-5-2 formation. 3 guys in the back, 5 midfielders and 2 forwards. Obviously, the midfield is an area that he is stressing, and obviously today it's paid off.
Well, there's no question about that.
Kind of an odd formation, kind of an odd throw-in all the way into the box. Bradikas with a drive, it's knocked away by Meisler. Another good opportunity set up by Doran's long throw-in.
Eric Meisler used his body to block that ball and take it out of harm's way. Good play in there by the sophomore from Middletown, New Jersey, out of Christian Brothers Academy. What a great sports program they have there. Great basketball, soccer. I don't think people realize in this area, John, just to digress for a second, the great high school programs that are available. Some schools just year after year after year put out great players. Dangerous angle here, this ball coming in too.
The long throw-in headed away by McCallion. Caputo put it back towards the goal, but it was knocked over the end line, and this will be a 6-yarder for LaSalle's Fedorchenko.
Fedorchenko climbing the hill there behind the goal to get that ball, and he's very quickly wants to get it away. He's now yelling at his players, let's move. You can hear him in the background.
8.5 into the second half. A 2-0 Drexel lead on goals by Will Naylor and Guzman Castro. Klein looks to change direction, sweeps it to the other side of the field, but Wolf was there to intercept for Drexel. McCallion takes it back for LaSalle. Then his pass to Gary. Oh, I thought it was over the touchline. Now it is, but Gary will get the throw in.
And strong midfield play here by the Dragons.
Infraction against the Dragons. I'm sure they won't mind the grinding type of approach to this game now, not with a 2-0 lead.
All right, LaSalle's got to just pressure the net. They've got to get something in front. They've got to get something going here. There you see her.
Not in any rush, but as you point out, there's a new rule. You've got to get rid of that ball in 5 seconds.
It's a long 5 seconds here. You know, we saw at the other end where Fedorchenko got the ball and wants to get rid of it immediately and yelling and extolling his players to get downfield so he can get rid of the ball.
Castro one-on-one with McCallion. Castro's got the better speed. Can he get by McCallion? McCallion took him down hard. A tremendous tackle. Fedorchenko comes along, and the ball knocked over the touchline. It'll be a throw-in for the Dragons.
Great play there by Pat McCallion, young man out of North Catholic, a junior. Took down Guzman, and
Castro very dangerous, and McCallion didn't give him an opportunity to even get a shot off. Doran will take the throw in.
This is going to be sensational. Here we go. All eyes here. There's a real good shot of him. Look at this.
Right in to the gut of Ed Wilkie.
Well, I told you before, Barrett earlier in the first half came up and contested that throw in, and he's going to have to make some adjustments on those things. And good play there by LaSalle to block that.
Colasanti was taken down hard by Caputo. And Caputo may be picking up a yellow card here.
I'll tell you this, the other
He's
teams
certainly got a good staring at by Dan Rudloff, our referee.
The other coaches, and there's several of them here watching today, they will go to school on this now with Doran and know you come up and contest the guy right at the touchline, you've got a good chance of blocking it, John.
Colasanti with the left foot, bends one in on her. Her had some trouble with it, but fortunately for him, he was wide of the net by that point. But this will be a corner kick for the Explorers.
This is a break for LaSalle too, because that was a ball that should have been handled.
Her's been very cool on his back line, but I think that time he was caught a little bit off guard by Colasanti.
That ball definitely should have been handled. Now LaSalle has an opportunity here. Clock ticking down, 33-37 left. LaSalle's got to get on the board. They trail 2-0.
Klein will take it. Squirts through the box. Meisler can't get a foot on it. Turns a drive. It's knocked down in front. The scramble for it. Doran comes away for the Dragons. Squirts it ahead for Bradikas, but Venezial was there for the Explorers.
Nice camera work by our guys showing the corner there as Eric Klein set that ball up in the corner and the angle, and he wants to kick it in. And boy, Fedorchenko wants to get rid of that ball fast. He knows that they've got to get some offense going.
Doug Wolf almost had the break that time. But the lead pass a little bit too far.
Boy, Drexel's really bunching that midfield up, John, aren't they?
They've got 5 midfielders out on the field. There's not a lot of room to get through them. It's like in hockey, you stand up everybody at the blue line and nobody can get through. That's kind of been Drexel's approach, especially since they got the 2-goal lead.
That's what made the Boston Bruins a successful team and the Montreal Canadiens back in the 60s. That's their legacy, is stand up at the blue line, let nobody go through. Blue
Sal's only way through is to kind of fast break, counterattack, but how much of an attack is Drexel putting on now? They're still playing offensive soccer for sure, but they're certainly also not gambling.
I'll tell you one thing where both teams have caught a break here today, a very cool day here for early September. There's not a lot of heat generated off the grass and whatever, so this has helped the players in their conditioning.
Chris Naylor wasn't yelling at one of the Explorers, he was yelling at Castro because Castro didn't move to the open area. Wolf with a tremendous move on the far touchline into the box. Tackled from behind. A good play by the Explorers to clear that one. I don't think Lou Meal was real happy with it. You saw him take a swipe at that ball.
Kevin Gary over did a good job in the corner there.
There's Wolf. He was into the box and a rough tackle, but no call. And you've really got to maim someone in the box to get the call. You don't want to. Refs are reluctant to give away almost sure goals on penalty kicks.
Guzman complaining a little bit there again as he was taken down hard by 19 Pat McCallion. And LaSalle will kick it away, and they see their time running down, 31 minutes and 9 seconds remaining. That was McCallion.
Caputo missed it, but it'll go all the way back to her.
Not only did Caputo miss it, but Peffel missed it too.
Drexel pressuring every touch, every pass from the Explorers. Verdeeka's a little bit too aggressive that time.
And again, it's all right in the center of the field. They've just got them strung out right across, almost like that center line there, John. And I'll tell you, they have done an outstanding job from their midfielders today. An outstanding job.
Even the little 10-yard squares, little 10-yard touch passes are being contested. It's similar to a basketball defense out on the perimeter, contesting even a bounce pass between the guards.
Ken Kime now comes to the table on the far side. He's going to be returning for LaSalle momentarily.
Now it's loose in the box. Comey was there, but an offsides call. The Explorers behind the defenders. That was close.
LaSalle
was there, and so was Colasanto.
LaSalle has to get it going here right now, and now we have a getting up slowly down there for Drexel is Chris Naylor. He's down on one knee. Yeah, I guess he's all right. He's moving away.
Naylor played last year at Villanova and transferred to Drexel, and Larry Sullivan, the Villanova coach in the Villanova athletic department, signed a release that allowed him to play this year without having to sit out a year, which is fairly common in soccer. It's not as cutthroat as football and basketball in terms of transfers.
Now the clock is stopped and Naylor goes to the sidelines. Dave Dunbar, the trainer over there, having a look at him.
He will be replaced by his younger brother, Will.
Right. That'll be kicked away by the keeper, Brian Herr.
29:39 to go in regulation. Drexel with a 2-0 lead. LaSalle has not mustered very much offense here in the second half.
Now Caputo decides he's going to kick it away after Hurst teed it up for him.
Matt Naylor takes it away from Harold Ivory. Looking to cross it in front to the far post and behind the net. Fedorchenko kind of got turned around going after that one.
pair of 14s were over there, Ivory and Matt Naylor, and Naylor just won sort of the mind game there, was able to get the ball away from Ivory. Now Ken Kine back into the game for LaSalle. He wears 16, he started the game. Midfield action again there, John. They just stretch out and stop them.
To the far touchline, they try and reverse field and go the other way, but LaSalle wins the battle at midfield this time, but is unable to do very much with it. Here comes Joe Venezial. Taken away from him by Dahl, but fortunately for LaSalle, Klein was there to clean up that mess. Meisler dribbles it through, but again, nobody going to the ball for the Explorers. A young team, maybe the chemistry isn't quite there just yet. There seems to be thinking before acting.
Tell you, the veteran Ivory sets everything up there, but he just can't get the ball ahead, where it just seems Drexel is beating LaSalle to the ball at every opportunity, almost loose balls.
Long ball played for Castro, but McCallion was there. Klein loses it to Caputo. Caputo will play it long for Castro, and this is going to be Drexel's game for much of the second half. 6-yarder coming up for Fedorchenko. They'll just play it, stay on that shell, and play it long for Castro, and if he can score, great. If not, we're going to play D.
There's another one of those battles between McCallion 19 and Guzman 11. Those two guys have really battled each other here in the second half. When they got up off the ground, they got to pat each other on the back, and respect for each other there.
Again, neither one of the Explorer players willing to play the ball, and Bradikas came rushing through and headed away from both of them. The LaSalle players have gotten tentative, perhaps because Drexel's been so aggressive in the midfield, and they don't want to make a mistake. This ball played through to Castro.
And he knows who was right on his back, 19, Pat McCallion. I thought those guys are joined at the hip here in the second half. Well, LaSalle beat the pressure of the midfielders there, but couldn't come up with the ball, John.
The midfield play of the Dragons, I think, has really gotten into the Explorers' heads. They seem tentative, almost afraid to make a mistake, trying to be a little bit too fine at midfield. And then when they break through, which they've done the last couple of times, they either relax or they get a little bit too excited about the fact that they've broken through and they don't control the ball in the offensive end.
You almost want to use here, if you're LaSalle, if you want to take a look at maybe the old Philadelphia textile theory, you just take the ball and just try to ram it towards the net one-on-one.
Bradikas clears it all the way to midfield, and you see the Dragons hanging back defensively. With 26 to go, they've got a 2-0 lead. Eric Klein rubs out Will Naylor.
Klein, a big kid at 5'9", 160, used his strength there to push out Naylor. Naylor a goal scorer, Guzman Castro the other goal scorer, and that's where we are, 2-0 Dragons in front.
An infraction right in front of the LaSalle bench. Pat Farrell didn't really agree with that one.
Like Eric Weissler took down, he's going to get a yellow card too. Let's watch here. Okay.
Weissler picks up the second yellow.
One each way, a far cry from the 7 we had Saturday.
Dahl trying to turn on Comey.
Just a note, while they're writing down all that information there, the clock does stop, and you pointed this out on Saturday. It's not like World Cup where after the 90 minutes the clock runs until, you know, who knows when it's going to be over, but the clock at the end is the official clock, 25:15. It does stop on injuries, and it does stop when the official is admonishing someone.
Do you like the idea of injury time? Do you like the not knowing the clock, or do you prefer the NCAA version where you stop the clock.
I want to look up there and be able to tell you exactly how much time is left. I don't like that on or about or extra time because you don't know. I mean, you don't know when it's going to stop. I mean, the players in the
kind of adds a sense of excitement, though, sometimes.
Well, I like my excitement in different ways, and that's not one of them.
No, somebody compared it to boxing and the fact that boxers never know the score. At least the soccer players know the score, but they don't know how much time's left.
Yeah, but
Your boxer doesn't know the score.
Yeah, but a boxer knows when there's 15 seconds left in the round because you hear that knock, 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 knock on the table.
Yeah, but he doesn't know if he's down and needs to pile up some points.
Well, picky.
It's a very similar situation.
Now, the situation here is LaSalle's got to find a way to bust this midfield pressure that's put on there by the Drexel Dragons, which has been outstanding all day. There's still plenty of time left, 24 minutes left here in the game. However, the Explorers find themselves down by a deuce to nothing. Of course, the added pressure here now, John, for LaSalle, if they give up another goal here, then the afternoon becomes exceedingly long.
Wow, they've got to be very frustrated at this point. Castro. Venezia just beat him to the ball. Will Naylor looking to mount some offense. Gary took him down pretty hard. Not necessarily a bad play with the Dragons in transition and looking to net that third goal. Gary just kind of bumped him to the turf.
Looking ahead for LaSalle, they will take on the University of Pennsylvania on Saturday at Franklin Field at 1 o'clock. Then we'll play Lehigh away, and then we'll be home to Cleveland State in a conference game on the 17th.
Matt Naylor goes down hard. Harold Ivory with the tackle.
Dragons
was off of Naylor, so it'll be a 6-yarder for LaSalle.
Dragons, on the other hand, travel to Siena Saturday afternoon. We'll be home on the 14th against Hartford. First NAC game, then home on the 17th against Lehigh. Soccer 7 season heating up. Conference schedule's heating up. Next Soccer 7 game will be on the 19th, of Monday, St. Joseph's at LaSalle. That's why I'm sure Tom Turner here today making his notes appropriately.
Soccer 7 kind of thrown open by the fact that Textile and St. Joe's in the first game of the season ended in a scoreless tie. There was a real chance for one of those two teams, the two favorites in the league, to get a leg up on the rest of the Soccer 7, but it did not happen and should make for an interesting season. If either team had won, they would have been the front runner, at least in theory, for the rest of the season. And now there is no front runner.
You see an unhappy Kevin Gary there as he felt the foul was the other way and the ball was given to Drexel, and Drexel plays on. LaSalle has not scored against Drexel now in 90 minutes last year. It was 3-0 was the score there, and we've played almost 70 minutes here today, so that's 160 minutes at least where LaSalle has failed to make the back of the net bulge.
The year before, LaSalle did post a 3-2 victory.
Yes.
The long play ahead, looking for Meisler, and I think that's pretty much what LaSalle's going to have to be doing is take those long runs, play the long ball, try and find a crack in the defense, and catch a break. They've got to catch a break to get back into this.
Next 10 minutes is very vital for LaSalle. They've got to get on the board.
Gary settles for Klein. Klein with the right foot. It's muffled by Peffel. And the Dragons come away.
I wish I said that, muffled by Peffel.
Or Peffel by muffle, I'm not sure which.
But again, one of the things, John, here, for them to score now, then LaSalle can dictate the last 10 minutes of play because you know they're going to keep coming. So the next 10 minutes here, really, LaSalle's got to get on the board. Again, McCallion with a nice defensive play on the far side. He's been outstanding for LaSalle today.
20 minutes, 30 seconds to go. 2-0. Drexel ahead of LaSalle. And the Explorers' offense has been MIA.
Well, also, I think some of the credit has to be given to the Drexel defense. They've marked very well today, and they've been very, very, very tough all afternoon, in particular at the midfield, and then early on in the game, they were tough in the box.
Dangerous opportunity for the Dragons here as Wolf lines up for for the indirect.
Another dangerous angle here, and the keeper has to be very quick. The defenders have to be very quick. You got to make sure your men are marked in front.
Gary and Ivory form a mini wall, and everybody bunched over on the far post just out of your picture. As Wolf crosses it to that far post, and Fedorchenko aggressively comes out. Mishandled, but he was there to make the play.
I'll tell you, he just took the bull by the horns there, came forward and got the ball away.
And then also screamed for everybody to get downfield. Let's counterattack.
That's what he's been doing now for about the last 20 minutes.
Sweeper Joe Venezial up onto the attack. A drive over the net.
Venezial had the right idea, but he had to bring the ball down some. He had real good angle there. Salle getting ready to sub on the far side.
That's Scott Shuchak, who's warming up. And it looks like he will come in now. And he will replace Ken Kine.
Young man
There's
out
Shuchak.
of LaSalle High School, another one of those Catholic League players coming into the game for the first time.
Given away to Gary. Gary's got a dangerous foot. Ball tackled away from him. Caputo after Gary. They battle for it in the corner, and Caputo with a great job to come out of there with the ball. Great job by Mike Caputo. Venezial will try the far side of the field, but he hit it right to Doug Wolf.
A little sloppy play there by Drexel. They had an opportunity to make something happen at the other end, and next thing you know, Colasante has the ball on his foot and is flying down the left side.
Right now, Brian Herr has to start thinking about shutout. He hasn't allowed a goal yet, looking for his first career shutout. We talked about him off the top and the fact that he was replacing a standout goalkeeper in Rune Hegeland, who had 21 career shutouts. Herr comes from a good background, had an outstanding high school career at Great Valley, but a shutout today would really make his mark.
Rune's still around Drexel. I was over at the basketball office at Drexel today, and someone was mentioning Rune was seen here last weekend on campus, or last Friday on campus, I should say. He played with the Philadelphia Freedoms, that team that was playing out at Marple Newtown High School during the course of the summer, and is very anxious to become a professional goalkeeper. Much the way that some of the St. Joseph's players are trying to, that we talked about over the weekend.
To the middle, a little bit too tall for Colasante.
Eric Meisler set that up with a nice pass down the right side.
Shuchak was headed away by Peffel. Gary will turn and fire and sky it into the parking lot.
You know, this is okay. LaSalle became very aggressive here in the last 30 seconds. Now you want to keep that up, set up by Meisler. Well, I mean, now you know you can penetrate a little bit. Now you've got to build on that, and you've still got time. You've got 16 minutes plus, almost 17 minutes. You're only down 2, but you got to make sure you get the next one.
And you better score one in a hurry.
Yeah. Yeah, because you want to be able to dictate the last 10 or 12 minutes of the game.
Venezial. A little too hot to handle for Scott Shuchak, the freshman out of LaSalle Prep.
Wolf will bring it in. Question is now whether Peter Doran will get another opportunity for another one of those. Well, I don't know. The last 2 were close to being blocked. Well, one was, and I don't know whether we'll get a chance to see that again or not.
Somersault flip into a throw-in.
That's reason alone for, if you're watching the game, come out and see Drexel soccer here.
Unbelievable. I couldn't believe it the first time he did it.
I
What is going on?
I was silent when I saw it on the other side.
Whoa. Okay, here's a chance for LaSalle. Klein in the middle of the field. Gives it up for Venezial, who's pushing the attack, but dribbled it a bit too far out in front.
And Caputo just booted that ball away, and boy, does he have a strong right foot. Michael Caputo. He's a whippet, Downingtown High School. Downingtown's another one of those high schools, John, that's very strong in everything. Basketball, football, baseball, good for soccer, ice hockey.
Under 15 minutes to go here now. Harold Ivory tees it up. Pat Farrell needs to take something positive out of this, so you know he wants them to get a goal regardless of whether or not they get back into the game.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, they've got to move the ball a little quicker. Ivory took a long time to set up now. One of the reasons was he had a way to make sure that his players were down in position. But, I mean, now when you look at the clock, I mean, with 14 minutes to go, you're 2 in the hole. I mean, you just got to go out there and move, whether your legs are tired or whatever. You've got to go because, I mean, time's running out on you.
Into the LaSalle bench. And that's not what the Explorers want at all. Shuchak could not control it. He was a little bit late getting to that free ball. Lou Meal has to be very pleased, John, with the way his team has progressed. Last year, 9-9-1, despite some injuries. This year, they've got the injuries again. But they have played very well today, very solid. There have been almost no holes for LaSalle to get through, and when they have had them, Ryan Herr has been pretty solid back in goal. Fedorchenko had some trouble there, but Chris Naylor was offsides, and now Fedorchenko complains about Naylor punching it into the net and delaying his team's surge up the field. Dan Rudloff doesn't want to hear any of it. Well, nothing's going the Explorers' way right about now.
No, it isn't. But there's still time, and you know you can still generate something, but you've got to do it. You've got to do it quickly. He beat the middies there.
Alicante plays it for Venezial, who's up on offense now from his sweeper position. Caputo and he came together, no whistle. And Herr takes charge. I'm impressed with him, just his demeanor in the box, John, and on his back line. He's very cool. He's had some scary moments with the ball loose in the box, and he hasn't looked rattled one bit.
No, he hasn't, and a game like this will do worlds for his confidence, too.
Alicante plays it to Welke. Welke crossed to the middle, a shot just over the crossbar.
I'll tell you, Herr was all out on that one as he had a leap and to cut the angle down, and now corner kick coming up here. That was a very, very dangerous situation for Herr. Watch here.
Well, Meisler was going to try and give it back to Colasanti, but he got a pretty good shot off.
And the ball was just coming down, with just over the grasp of a leaping Herr. Now an important corner kick right here.
Klein sends it to the far post. McCallion's header was not very solid. He just kind of grazed it over the end line. A 6-yarder for the Dragons with 11:50 to go in regulation. A 2-0 Drexel lead.
Significant substitution now. Guzman Castro back into the game as he comes back into the game for the Dragons. Now this gives them a little bit of speed. As going out was Garrett Garner, who had a strong game in midfield for the Dragons today. Now this now will open things up for Drexel. They'll try now, I'm sure, to throw caution to the wind now offensively. So LaSalle's going to have to be very, very cognizant of the fact that he's out there.
Castro working now with Wolf.
And something else with Castro out there now is going to cut down the time that LaSalle's going to be on offense, too.
Here comes Castro into the box. Chips it towards Will Naylor. Wolf score! Bartemi Bradikis on the goal. Nothing Fedorchenko could do about that one as Drexel comes down 3-on-2 and works it to perfection.
And I'll tell you, this is set up by Castro, who comes down on the far side. He just came into the game, passes the ball. Now there you see Castro in the corner with the ball. Now we'll center it. And right there to Bradikis, and it's in the net. And Drexel in front now by a 3-0 score.
For Bradikis, his 3rd of the season, and he now has 8 points on the year with 3 goals and 2 assists. He had a great opener, 2 goals and 2 assists in that game. And Fedorchenko in all 3 goals, John, hasn't been anything he could have done about any of them.
Not a thing. 79-56 the score, and that's, you know, it's kind of funny. I just said the last thing that with Castro out there cuts down the offensive time for LaSalle. It's also cut down probably any opportunity they have to get back into this game now, because they're now down by 3 and the clock down to 10 minutes.
A dominating performance today by the Drexel Dragons. As Colasanti tries to ease the pain a little bit, moving up on offense. Loses it out to Meisler. Meisler finds Klein. Been a frustrating day for the Explorers. They're frustrated again here.
You know what's amazing? That
Look out,
Castro
again, man.
Castro sets up the goal here after LaSalle had a tremendous opportunity down at the other end about 30 seconds ago.
Bradikis for Castro. Castro tried to one-time it. He collided hard with Harold Ivory. And we may have a penalty kick coming up as Castro went down hard. Rudloff has called the foul, and it'll be a penalty kick coming up for the Dragons and a chance to pad the lead as Ivory came in strong, but he got a bit of Castro, and Castro's down, but
I think he got a lot
Ivory
of
got a lot of. Ivory was going for the ball, I think. I don't think he was intending to hurt Castro.
Oh, no,
Difficult call to go against LaSalle at this point.
But he got a lot of Castro, and Castro hit the ground hard. Let's watch it again. The ball be passed to Castro right here. You saw Ivory going for the ball.
No doubt he's going for the ball there, John. That's a tough call in the box. Looked like a pretty strong tackle. Maybe he got a little bit too much of Castro, but in a 3-0 game and in the penalty box, it's a bit of a surprise, I would think.
All right, Castro is going to get the assist on that last goal from Pradikis at 79-56, and now Castro, who's down, and you see Dave Dunbar there, working on the right knee of Castro. And
remember, Castro's a guy who came in with a herniated disc, so he's already hurting.
Yeah.
And they've got their share of knee injuries. 3 players on the roster at the start of the season will not play this year. Zoran Markovsky, last year's leading goal scorer, along with a pair of freshmen, Freddie Cavin and Jeremy Fillo. They are all out before the season even starts.
Dave flexing that knee of Castro, and
Lou Meals walking into your picture now and hopes his instant offense off the bench is going to be all right.
Isn't it amazing how he came in and 30 seconds later the ball is behind Fedorchenko after a great opportunity at the other end for LaSalle. Now, will Castro take the penalty kick or not? And it looks like he's not as he's heading off the field.
No sense in him getting banged up anymore.
All right, now you and I were out on the field today. We talked about a penalty kick. We stood at the 12-yard line there and just kind of imagined the goalkeeper has very little time to react. And here,
Fedorchenko's shown tremendous quickness so far today, but the goalie pretty much has to guess on these. He either dives left or dives right for the most part and hopes the shooter hits it right into him.
all right, Naylor's going to take the shot. One of the great one-on-one situations in all sports. Maybe even more exciting than the penalty shot in hockey. Let's watch.
Naylor has not scored yet this season. His team's up 3-0, so there's not a lot of pressure on him. Exactly 10 minutes to go in this match.
You're seeing what Fedorchenko sees.
And he guessed wrong, and it's 4-0. Chris Naylor bangs it home on the penalty kick after Castro was taken down hard by Harold Ivory. Chris Naylor scores for the first time as a Drexel Dragon, joining his brother Will in the scoring column. And it is 4-0. The Dragons now rolling over LaSalle.
And that was a situation there where the keeper made his move, went left, Naylor fired right, boom, 4-0, 80 minutes even, time of the score. And it's now a almost insurmountable lead now for the Drexel Dragons. Now what LaSalle has to do, John Miller, is this. You know, there's Johnson Bowie, the athletic director and former coach here at Drexel. As a matter of fact, he was the coach the year they won the Soccer 7 championship back in 1990. What LaSalle wants to do now is get on the board. You know, winning the game now is out of the question. Now what you want to do is try and score and give yourself a little momentum going into your next game.
There have been very few positives today for the LaSalle Explorers, and now they've got to try to create one. And the goal would do that. Colasanti is obviously a very talented player. We've seen that, and he is explosive, and he showed that a little bit, but Drexel did an outstanding job, and credit Lou Meal for recognizing how good Colasanti is certainly he knew it coming in, but he had not seen him play. He'd just heard about him. But he immediately decided, we got to clamp down on that kid. And after doing that, it's been pretty much all Drexel.
I'll tell you, strong preparation here by Drexel. They marked Colasanti early and often in the beginning of the game, and I think that was one of the keys to it. That and the fact that very strong midfield play, and the fact that Guzman Castro has just made things go for the Dragons here this afternoon. 4-0 the score, 8:44 to go, and LaSalle now looking for an opportunity to put the ball behind Brian Herr.
Pat Farrell's got his work cut out for him here as well, John, just to keep his players' spirits up. Last year they go 1-16-2. It was just a hideous year by all accounts. They come out this past weekend and beat a team that was in the top 20 last year, Virginia Commonwealth, and smoke them 5-1. Virginia Commonwealth in a bit of a state of flux. Their coach quit for personal reasons just a couple of weeks before, but to beat a team by 5-1, any team by 5-1, is very impressive. And now they've got to be thinking, at least in the back of their minds, that maybe that was a fluke. Maybe we're not that good. Well, they're probably not that good, but he's got to build those kids back up and say, maybe you're not going to beat everybody 5-1, but you've got to be in these games. And we were in this game for a good 50 minutes before it started to fall apart.
Well, again, a very young team by LaSalle. Only 3 seniors, only 2 of which are playing, and you know, sometimes you expect that from youngsters, and they've got a foundation to build. One of the strong youngsters is Colasanti, who we just saw there, number 5. Who, I mean, you know, you expect a lot out of him, but the reality of the situation, John, is it is just his second collegiate game.
And the Explorers didn't seem to have the cohesion today. There was some disorganization on defense early, and then at midfield late, there was some reluctance on players. It looked like it was one of those, you take it, I'll take it, neither one of us takes it type of things. And Drexel, meanwhile, steams through and takes the ball away.
Doesn't get any easier. They've got a Franklin Field date on Saturday afternoon with the Quakers. And as you mentioned before, the Quakers have become very aggressive with their schedule.
McAdams quick, but not quick enough to flag that ball.
Yeah, I was a little by me. I don't want to leave you in the lurch here and rattle the microphones and get everybody upset in the truck. I was going to dive for that and make a goalkeeper save.
It's a beautiful opportunity for a header, but you did not take that opportunity.
Well, no, because
I kind of shied away. In fact, a little tentative of your own self. We're sitting here talking about LaSalle, and I think if you were on your game, you would have been a lot more aggressive going for that one.
Yeah, well, the problem is I wanted to save the equipment. I would have had to jerk the headset here.
Well, you've always got an excuse. I have noticed that over the past 5 years.
But I am good at that. I had the
Naylor's certainly in no rush.
Clock frozen here for a second. I just wanted to know. Now the clock's going again. I thought maybe the officials were looking at a card situation, but not.
Fedorchenko's given up 4 goals, but there's been some disorganization on the defense, and some of the blame for that goes to him. But there's nothing he could have done about any of the 4 goals.
No. In particular, the last one.
On a penalty kick.
Yeah.
Garrett Garner is in front. The cross to him is knocked down by Meisler.
Meisler's had a good game back there.
He's been very active. He's been in the middle of a lot of things for LaSalle. Colasanti steams it ahead for Gary. Gary trying to beat his man down the field. That's Phil Kiernan, number 19, who was checked in. Naylor got ahead on that ball. The drive is just wide off the foot of Matt Comey.
Hey, Comey came up there with a good opportunity, but just missed. Now, also in fairness, too, there's been a couple of situations here where LaSalle's come real close. Now watch Comey, 11. Ball will come loose. Right back onto Comey's foot, and he didn't wait long to pull the trigger. Boom, he let it go, but it was wide. But I think the killer in this game was when LaSalle had the opportunity. I believe it was Eric Klein just missed a shot. And then, boom, they make the substitution. Castro comes in and sets him up, and they score 30 seconds after he walks on the field.
Great day for Castro. Walked onto the field twice. Drexel popped in 2 goals, and really the 3rd goal he gets some credit for, because he was the man taken down that forced the penalty shot.
And if you're kind of a novice to soccer, I'm going to akin what happened there to a situation that you see so many times in ice hockey, where a player will take a shot, it'll ping off the post, it clearly beats the goaltender, the rebound will come out to somebody, they'll walk down the other end and put it in.
Tremendous shift in momentum right now. The LaSalle, while still down 2 goals and having a long way to go, was starting to press the attack and creating some good things and maybe at least taking something positive from this game. But Castro comes in and stamped out their hearts, didn't he? Just stomped on them.
You always had a way with the analytical words.
Pretty much what he did. Kicked them while they were down for sure.
We'll see Drexel again in a couple of weeks against Philadelphia Textile, which should be an outstanding soccer game.
Now that does set up as an outstanding game with Drexel's strong midfield play and Textile, a team that is very technically sound and a team that moves the ball from player to player very well. They might have what it takes to get through that tough Drexel midfield. Also, we want to remind you that our next event will be on the football field. We return to Franklin Field for our 5th season of Penn Quaker football. It'll be on Sunday, September 18th at 10 a.m.
The Lafayette Leopards and the University of Pennsylvania, Al Bagnoli's team, coming off a 10-0 season, ranked nationally in 1AA.
They've got some holes to fill. Quarterback Jim McGeehan, who was maybe one of the, in fact, he was voted the 2nd best player in the Ivy League last year behind Princeton's Keith Elias, who's now a New York Giant. But Penn has to replace him, and that is the big question at Franklin Field these days.
Well, I'll tell you what, I think what the strong part of Penn's game is going to be their defense. With Good Willie and guys like that, I think I think defense is really going to take the Pennsylvania Quakers a long way.
And also, whoever the quarterback is, be it Steve Teodecke or Mark DeRosa or Jack Frand, I think their main chore of the season is going to be handing off to Terrence Stokes.
Yeah.
Who is, we are told, 1,315 yards away from becoming Penn's all-time leading rusher.
Right, there's now going to be a card handed out here, and it appears it's going to go to Drexel's Eric Dahl.
So remember, 10 a.m. Sunday, September 18th. Start off a day of football with Wade Cablevision Channel 66. The Penn Quakers taking on the Lafayette Leopards. That's on tape delay at 10 a.m. Sunday morning right here on Channel 66. Fedorchenko comes out, plays it away with 2:37 to go in this game. And the Dragons with a comfortable 4-0 lead. Kevin Gary trying to make something happen, getting pestered by Chris Naylor.
Getting really muscled off the ball by the much physically stronger Naylor at 5'11", 185. And Naylor is another one of those guys who's kind of built like the base of a tree. Really, really solid.
Naylor, the eldest of the 3 Naylor brothers. He's a senior. He went to Lawrenceville Prep. The other 2 just went to Strathaven. I don't know if that's, if he just, first son got the money thrown at him. I don't know how that works. I don't know if the other 2, got shunned by the parents. What's the deal there?
I don't know. I was the first one, and I got shunned by my parents.
They threw all the money at the older boy, and then the other 2 kind of got the table scraps. That's what that looks like.
Well, I was the one that got the table scraps in my family. Opportunity here for LaSalle.
And a very aggressive play by Brian Hurd to come out and cut down Brian Kerwin, number 6, a junior from Camden Catholic who has checked in. And Hurd with a very aggressive play, and he may have just saved his first collegiate shutout with 1:25 to go.
I'll tell you, that was a real good play by Kerwin, and it happened real quickly. Kerwin picked up the loose ball, walked straight in, and Hurd made the save. Now watch number 6 as the guy that's going to do the damage here, Brian Kerwin. And he got a good opportunity on there, but Hurd was up to the task. And probably that's their best scoring opportunity of the afternoon.
Being decisive is perhaps the most important thing for a goalkeeper in soccer. You've got to know when to come out and challenge, when to come out and go for a loose ball. And a lot of times for freshmen, that is something that they have trouble with. Hurd has not shown that at all today.
Down to the last 45 seconds of this tilt.
Red clock on your screen.
Drexel's going to win this.
They will move to 2-0 on the season, 1-0 in the Soccer 7. That'll put them in first place after Textile and St. Joe's battled to a scoreless tie a couple of days before.
LaSalle goes to 1-1, 0-1 in the soccer 7, and will prepare for the University of Pennsylvania on Saturday at Franklin Field. That's the 10th. Meanwhile, Drexel has a date with Siena at Siena up in near Albany, New York on Saturday.
That'll do it. As the ball game is over and Drexel pulls away, John, in the second half, a dominating 4-0 victory over LaSalle, and the Dragons won this game at midfield.
No question about it. That, and with some great play by Guzman Castro, who came into the game and made things happen. And for the second year in a row now, the Drexel Dragons have shut out LaSalle, and the score here is 4-0. And you see the players out there shaking hands. And yeah, there's some work to do by the LaSalle coaching staff, and a good start here for Drexel. I think that's, you know, the way they wanted to start this season now, because they play in a very, very tough and competitive league. There's some very, very strong teams in the North Atlantic Conference, and to be able to garner that automatic bid or to capture that, it's going to be tough.
The goal scoring, Will Naylor wins it or scores in the first half for Drexel to make it 1-0, and then a flurry of activity in the second half. Guzman Castro, and then Paul Bradikis and Chris Naylor to wrap it up.
All I can say, John, about a game like this is it's a learning experience for both sides. LaSalle knows they have to go and they have to work on some things, while Drexel, in the meantime, now may have found that heir apparent to Rune Hegelen. Brian Herr now has played 2 games, gave up 3 against St. Peter's, but came out here today and certainly wiped that away by shutting down LaSalle Explorers here today. LaSalle didn't have a lot of great opportunities, but one right at the end there where young Brian Kerwin walks in, and then a great play on a Nura Klein shot earlier. And, you know, all you can say is, hey, it's early in the season. A lot of things can happen.
Lou Meal has to be very excited with his team's 2-0 start. Peter Doran with some tremendous throw-ins, one of the stars of the day for Drexel, and it led directly to their first goal. Guzman Castro was just dynamite off the bench as Drexel defeats LaSalle by a final of 4-0. For John McAdams, I'm John Miller. Thanks for watching, and remember to tune in on the 18th for the start of the Penn football season. For now, so long.
There's a killer loose, silently stalking women, regardless of age, race, income, family background. It strikes. Breast cancer, it's a killer, and no woman is safe. But there is a way to fight back. Get a mammogram. It can detect breast cancer in its earliest stages when it's most curable. So don't be a victim. Fight back. Mammography, your most powerful weapon.
Since our beginning 50 years ago, the United Negro College Fund has been giving African Americans like these graduates a chance for a quality education through the support of 41 colleges and universities and scholarships to thousands of students in the Philadelphia area.
I'm Zeke Ketchum, chairman of the United Negro College Fund campaign, asking you to help young students reach their greatest potential by supporting the United Negro College Fund, because a mind is a terrible thing to waste.